The year is 4836, and the bustling utopian city of Washu is thriving in its prosperous era of cultivation. Suddenly, the peace of the city is interrupted as a giant frog-like creature descends and wreaks havoc. You don't get to see that every day. The Magic Squad protectors of the city arrive on the scene to handle the situation. Meanwhile, a carefree boy roams about the city. One of the Magic Squad members spots the boy and saves him. He tells him to go home while he rejoins the scene. Fast forward to today. A statue of Zhu Yi known for defeating the giant frog and saving Washu stands at the school entrance. Wang Ling, a freshman at high school, is being picked on by the senior bullies for being at forest level 5. But a high forest value magician Sun Rong schools them off and offers a hand to Wang Ling. Instead, he embarrasses her and leaves soon. A test to measure the freshman force levels using the incarnation of the giant frog is announced. One by one, the students enter the arena to be assessed. Sun Ron comes out with a score of 2019 as the school cheers for her. It's now Wang Ling's turn. Seeing him, the frog grows worried. It's revealed that Wang Ling is the boy saved by Zhu Yi and harbors an infinite forest value which he hides. And he was the one who defeated the giant frog. He comes out defeating the frog with a score of infinite 9s, and the school looks in amazement and doubt. It is now the first class of summoning stones as the students attempt to summon. Sun Rong summons a skeletal beast, while Wang Ling manages to summon the frog itself. The teacher then turns the frog into a dog. As the class gathers around the dog, Wang Ling quietly leaves. As a baby, Wang Ling had birthed himself and shocked his parents. Even at a young age, he'd break up his parents' arguments through mind reading. At the age of 6, he failed to hold on to his powers, causing his family to decide to keep a low profile altogether. From that on, his father took the responsibility of devising a way for Wang Ling to contain his gifted abilities, which he hoped to achieve by applying cultivation technologies to amulets. Until then, his mother insisted that Wang Ling take the golden pill regularly, which would suppress his abilities. It's like birth control with superpowers. Wang Ling is aware of his parents' worries and decides to stay ordinary. In school, Sun Rong and Chen Xiao stand for the class president election. Sun Rong attempts to bribe the students with gifts. Seeing this, Wang Ling bids 5 votes for 5 packs of dry ramen. Sun Rong and whispers an incantation of seduction to have everyone side with her. As she turns around, she discovers Wang Ling had left her the golden pill to balance the bid. During the lesson on the incantation of seduction, Wang Ling wonders if Sun Rong is aware of the golden pill and have accepted it. Otherwise, he'd also become trapped under her incantation. He gestures to Sun Rong, but she misunderstands him and takes the pill, causing her powers to drain. Sun Rong fails when called to demonstrate in class, and her incantation breaks as a result. Zhen Xiao wins the election. Later, Wang Ling's teacher talks to Jolie over the phone, describing Wang Ling's capabilities at home. Sun Rong is frustrated over whether Wang Ling is a friend or a foe. The students bring their furnaces for a pill refining class when Xiao brings a massive copper furnace to impress Sun Rong. However, she walks past into Wang Ling, who notices a crush spell over her and swiftly pops it, leaving her flustered. In class, the instructor zaps through the explanation and instructs students to begin pill refining. Jen Charles' furnace explodes while Go House shows off, hence the class is then dismissed. Once the class is vacant, Froggy 2 attempts to eat Go House burn is to evolve back into his demon form, but is caught by Wang Ling. Outside, Chen Zhao runs laps, worried over his father's anger. Once he learns of the damage to the family's furnace, he grows weak as a devil trance takes over, inclining him to feel insecure and furious over Sun Rong's liking of Wang Ling. He stumbles off days. Meanwhile, Go Hao catches Wang Ling with his furnace and demands an explanation. He shoots a purple liquid at him, but it lands in Chen Chao's mouth behind him. John Chao collapses, and they take him to the lab to cure him with an antidote before the class resumes. Froggy sneaks into the lab to swallow the furnace, but is caught again. Wang Ling and Go Hao learn about his power to control timelines and use him to speed up the antidote process and administer it to Chen Chao. Soon the instructor arrives and Google Hao attempts to stall her, but fails. She finds Cool Hao's perfect pill, and Wang Ling's failed one. Will Hao grow soft, thinking that Wang Ling had swapped to save him. Later, they repair Chen Charles' furnace, and a friendship buds between the three of them. Know how sweet. Sun Rong asks one thing out on a date while Chen Chao sobs. Unbeknownst to her, she's the target of the Shadow Faction's assassins. They feel the strong presence of Wang Ling's power and to get uncoordinated. Suddenly Wang Ling is called by his teacher. He answers yes, which Sun Rong mistakes as acceptance. The assassins leave after saying that they've lost their target, and the social media bursts with the news of Wang Ling and Sun Rong dating. Wang Ling is taken to see the joint honorary master Immortal Jiaxi, who recognizes him as the gifted boy. He falls to his knees and calls him Master Nod, which Wang Ling performances 50% memory array spell on his way back. Froggy to informs him about the assassins. Back in Song High School, Tang Jing Zane, determined to beat the faction of 60 participants, suggests including a mysterious and supposedly powerful man in their team, called He Bufang, and is granted permission. He Bufang beats up the students assigned to call him for the competition, but it's curious and wonders why they need him to compete this time. Wang Ling wonders if he could lend out his power a little in the competition. While looking for a sword, he goes to his parents, who are busy watching TV, when the news reports an explosion. Suddenly breaking news flashes: Shadow Faction's headquarters have been found and are being cleared by the Immortals. Later on, Wang Ling climbs to the attic to get his spirit sword, which is a little boy. But as the sword awakens, his force suppression talisman is weakened. The next day, the students and teachers gathered a leave for Faction 59. Wang Ling gets laughed at for bringing a tiny sword secretly. He plans to play sick and quit once he's arrived at Faction 59. As the students prepare to leave, Joey's informed regarding an issue. He arrives at the news of the Immortals capturing the boss of the Shadow Faction, but she explodes in a blast, revealing it as just the decoy. Anyway, the real boss chuckles in her car, satisfied that she has removed the impediment between herself and her target. Few follows the students to Faction 59 on the bus. Wang Ling's spirit's sword has awoken, and Wang Ling bribes him with dry raiment to stay low. On arrival, these students are received by the Faction 59's team rather coldly. Their teacher, Miss Jia, who also has a rivalry with Miss Pan, evaluates Wang Ling's force value with a trick. The trick triggers Wang Ling's talisman to force depression and causes a huge blast. Wang Ling seizes the opportunity and fails, while Sun Rong rushes to cradle him. Worried, Tong Jingzi wonders if a tape buffins work. Zhou Yi, meantime, has neutralized the Shadow Box's explosion and is okay when she learns of her failure. She departs with a new strategy, though, after seeing Sun's devotion for Wang Ling. Tong Jingzi stops Sun Rong from pursuing Wang Ling after he has been brought inside on a stretcher, which sparks a playful skirmish between the two sides. Wang Ling then mysteriously erupts into purple flames as Tong Jingzi mockingly assures Wang Ling of his care. Miss Chi reacts swiftly and puts out the flame with bandages when she notices that her son did anything improper. However, Hanju Kam, their instructor, interferes and also corrects her children while standing on the roof while using purple flames. The nurse discovers a bandage wrapping that is empty. When the students arrive at the competition location, He Bufeng enters and offers Sun Rong to join them as their fifth member with a rose. Wang Ling has escaped and tells his father about the talisman, who rushes to his rescue, but she disputes it, attacking He Bufeng and the Loud Sun when they are wrong. Chen Xiao He Buffen has a strong negative force that he uses as payback to destroy Chen Child's arm in an effort to gain outside Faction 59. Chen Xiao is saved by Wang Ling when she enters the arena in time. He dismisses He Bufeng, who then lashes out at him and delivers a forceless punch to Wang Ling. However, it surprises everyone when Wang Ling quickly takes his rose and hands it to Rob. The Shadow Boss, who is not visible to the students, hangs from the arena ceiling and is seen someplace. He is seen going to Faction 59 after discovering the location of the Shadow Bosses. In the meanwhile, Infection He Buffen tracks down the undercover boss and tries to win her over. Upon declining him, he describes her as old. He Buffen is sorry for what he did. Wang Ling enters He Bufeng after having excused himself from the group to go grab his R1 and delivery. Defeat at the hands of the Shadow Boss. Wang Ling and He Bufeng are abducted by the Shadow Boss, who appoints her driver to watch over them. She steps on Wang Ling, who already has a broken talisman, igniting his negative energy. The small sword boy is able to divert him by reminding him of a deal on dry raiment, though. The boss rushes back in disguise as He Bufeng to inform the others that Wang Ling has been abducted, with the intention of releasing him out using Wang Ling as a trap. He Bufeng attempts to butter his way to freedom, but erroneously underestimates the driver, a strong infantry spirit within the phony He Bufeng gives you the news program, from which you infer that the person who abducted Wang Ling is the attractive Shadow Boss who charmed the boss unintentionally. Tong Jin's aide don't say Bu Fang's being a decoy outside Sun Rong, and her guards arrive to engage in combat with a driver. After hearing this, Team 60 exits together, with Sun Rong in charge of her guards. Machine tells her students to watch them in a genuine conflict before the competition. A Bufan calls for help, but it's stomped on the floor below by the driver. Sun Rong, determined to save Wang Ling, rises to face off with the driver alone, but as soon overpowered by the Golden Cavalry. As Sun Rong's about to be defeated, Wang Ling turns back time and takes care of the driver, with Zhou Yi already present to take credit in hopes of the competition being called off. Wang Ling leaves the real He Bu Fang under the care of his sword spirit. However, the Shadow Boss joins the 59th team as He Bu Fang. The day of the competition arrives as teams enter the arena. Wang Ling's father finally arrives, but it's too late. He's received by Zhou Yi and informed him about the broken talisman. It's revealed at the start that Wang Ling's talisman blocks both his force and emotions, but he breaks through and goes all maniac on the Shadow Boss and continues his onslaught just as he's about to kill her. He remembers Sun Rong and regains consciousness, leaving the boss begging for death. Froggy Two explains that Sun Rong is warm and breathing because he has stopped time. If it flows, Sun Rong will pass away. It's impossible to bring her back. Wang Ling mourns over Sun Rong and decides to restart the world for the sake of saving Sun Rong. Wang Ling has already restarted the world 4 times. Froggy Two insists that changing the world won't change the events. Wang Ling realizes that Froggy Two can control time and asks him to turn it back, but it would require a massive spiritual force. Wang Ling insists that he'll pay at any cost to save Sun Rong and merges with Froggy Two to turn the time back. Wang Ling arrives at his first day of school. He goes through several similar events, but has visions of Sun Rong and moments of deja vu that confuse him. This world is different than before. It turns out that the merged forces have created a new world that is destroying the old one, which will eventually cease to exist. Meanwhile, Sun Rong enters the underworld. The god of the underworld realizes the destruction that the world will face and hence decides to send her back, and she is revived. Wang Ling's spirit's sword explains everything to Sun Rong, and they decide to destroy his new world to save the old one. In the new world, Wang Ling goes to heavenly paradise and feels overwhelmingly empty as Sun Rong makes cracks in his world. He suddenly remembers her, and she manages to destroy his world and wake him up. They are reunited. Time does turn back to bringing everyone back into the games. This time, Wang Ling knocks out the Shadow Boss before things spiral. Faction 60 rejoices in victory, and Sun Rong is well. She runs over too long length, but is stopped by the interviewers. Wang Ling's father finally arrives with the talisman, but he has to make a choice. He can accept the talisman and go back to having dormant emotions, or he can have a relationship with Sunrock. He chooses world peace. I didn't expect it to get this emotional. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this. So I'll see you at the next one.